I'm Helen,
And I'm Liz,
and we're sisters
scientists,
and lifelong X-Files fans.
and this is We Want to Believe. All right, so I wanted to start out today by letting everyone know, first, a reminder, of course, that we are on Instagram if you want to engage with us there. And we are at We Want to Believe Pod on Instagram.
I'm just going to say believe is spelled Believe.
Yep.
And that's as much a reminder to myself as it is for others.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Similarly, we have an email address in which believe is spelled the same way.
Yes.
So if you'd like to email us, you can reach us at wewanttoBelievePod@gmail.com.
And we would love to hear your stories, your comments. If if one of our episodes reminds you of something or you have something to add, anything, it would be fun.
Also, if there's anything on an upcoming episode that you want us to think about in advance or something like that, let us know.
Yeah, totally.
All right.
Cool.
So and today, you go for it. All right,
today
I'll do it.
We're talking.
We are on point here. I'm going to talk. We're talking about shadows, which last time I believe I said something super smart about how I believe it has something to do with areas where there aren't light or something idiotic. I kind of
you actually were wrong.
What I meant, and I was wrong. Yeah, I think I was thinking about a completely different episode that's much later in the series. So even though what I had said was nonsense, it was wrong nonsense as well. So
I confused this episode with the one with the photographer
who sees people's deaths.
Yes.
Oh, and then that's such a good one.
The one where Skinner is seeing that like woman in a raincoat.
Oh my God. Yeah. Ooh, in the red
I don't know
coat,
why, but those three are kind of like tied in my brain.
I mixed this one up with the one with Janice from Friends.
Oh, I don't remember which one that is.
I can't remember anything else except
we'll get there.
She works somewhere officey. I think there's a fish tank. I kept waiting for the fish tank in this episode, and then finally I was like, maybe that's in the episode with Janice from Friends. There's definitely a fish tank. Yeah, there's definitely a fish tank. I think someone might have drowned in it or been killed in it.
Huh.
Also, we'll see. I've been wrong about many things that I've said before, so we'll see.
Part of
because this one does have someone being drowned, so now I'm like, maybe I'm just kind of combining.
Well, no, not actually. Oh, yeah, it does. Yeah,
not by choice, but yeah,
right, yeah. So shadows. It opens in an office building where we see the desk of Howard Graves, and it says it's HTG Industrial Technologies in Philadelphia. There's a picture of him and Clinton.
Oh yeah, so he's like a big shot.
Yeah. And there's
Howard
a woman...
Graves, not Clinton. I mean, also Clinton. So, yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of this Bill Clinton.
Yeah. We're here to tell you. He's kind of a big shot.
Yeah. There's a woman who is very, very familiar looking, cleaning his office. And I looked her up, and she's not in... Well, she is in everything, not in anything in particular. The main character of this episode.
So I figured out where I know her from.
Oh.
She was on My So-Called Life.
Oh, see, I never watched that.
And I don't think you watched that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but she ends up working with Angela Chase's dad. I don't know if they have an affair or if Angela thinks they're going to have an affair or something like that. But yeah, she meets him at a cooking class. I don't even know
who Angela Chase is.
Oh, come on. It's Claire Danes, the main character.
Oh,
it's really good. I mean, it's like so 90s. And teen angsty and intense, and it's like almost too much to watch because it's so intense in a very different way than like the X-Files is intense, to be clear.
So she was in that.
Has mom's haircut at the time, like exactly, like it's the same hair. So I know her from My So-Called Life because I had to look her up. I guess she was also in a couple different Frasers.
Yeah, and she was also on ER. And she was also on Private Practice. Like any drama, she had some sort of guest role on. And I don't have the woman's name in front of me. That would be helpful.
Yeah, but the character's name was Lauren Kite. Yes, her character.
Lauren, in the X-Files episode.
Yeah, in the X-Files episode.
Yes.
And she is very sad and cleaning
Hmm.
out this dude's office. And somebody comes in and is like, "Oh, it's been a few weeks since he died. I thought you'd be feeling better. Maybe cleaning up the office will help you get over it without seeing the reminders every day."
She was one of the first of many people in this episode that I thought was kind of a bitch.
Yeah, there were
There were
like
a lot.
a lot. I
Yeah.
know, a lot.
Hmm.
And then, and really, she wasn't even that bad compared to some of the later
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah.
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 Because then, is it at that point that the other boss comes in and is like horrible? No, or maybe we just
No, not
cut to,
yet.
okay, because when does she go to use the ATM?
So we learn that her boss was Howard Graves and that he died by suicide. And I do want to say that that's not a huge theme of the episode, but we will be mentioning that. So if there's anyone who that will be tough for, this would be one to skip.
Yeah.
Though we won't be talking about that much. It's not a main theme.
Yeah. Thanks for mentioning that, Helen. Yeah.
And there is a Ben Franklin quote on his desk in like a little glass plaque that we see suddenly move as Lauren, the main character's back is turned.
Right.
Remember?
Yeah. Something about today's and tomorrow's. I didn't write it down.
Yeah, me neither. I
I
I
didn't
thought it
find it
was too
especially
boring.
inspiring. Yeah.
Yeah. He has better ones.
Yeah.
So then she is going to the ATM and she's attacked by two men
And
and kind of
dragged off.
dragged
So
off down an
scary.
alley. And then it says 2 hours later.
And two teens come on, and I gotta say, the guy, I thought that is a terrible actor. I was just like, I don't know. It was like, in Wayne's World 2, there's a scene at the end at the gas station where Mike
Oh
Myers
yeah.
turns to the camera and is like, "I know it's a bit part, but we couldn't get a better actor than this." And then they bring in Charlton Heston to play the gas
Yeah.
station attendant. Like, I felt like, I know that this guy has like 3 lines, but I am not impressed.
There are plenty of good extras in the
Yeah,
X-Files.
absolutely. I mean, the girl was
Yeah.
fine.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, they're like dumpster diving, they're looking for a
Hmm.
place to crash, and they kind of pull down this fire escape, and some bodies fall on them off
Yeah.
of the fire escape, and it's clear, at least it was clear to me, although I'd seen it the episode before,
Same guys.
that it's
Though.
those two guys who
Yeah.
attacked Lauren at the ATM.
Hmm.
And I think that is where we get the opening credits.
Yes. Yep. And then we come back, and Mulder and Scully are in the Bethesda Naval Hospital in the pathology lab. And these two people, who are not FBI, are asking them to take a look at the bodies. And they're just very cryptic and won't say where they are from.
Right. Or what the deal is with the bodies, why they want them to
Yeah.
look at them. They're just
Yeah.
like, "Have you seen anything like this?" Because it looks like their throats have been crushed from the inside.
Yeah.
What they say?
Yeah. Yeah. And they have abnormal postmortem muscle reflexes. So the
Right.
Scully pulls back the sheet and the guy twitches, which is
Right.
my worst fear.
I feel like you've already claimed some other things are your worst fear, but I could be wrong.
My
We should keep a
worst
running list.
fear as I am working in my day-to-day life.
Okay, but you
Like,
mostly
and
work with bones. So are
yeah,
you concerned that the bones could move? Because that
no, I
would be
guess not.
weird. But I
That's
mean,
true.
it strikes me as
But that would be a
fundamentally
different sort
different.
of, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, I haven't worked with many full bodies, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
Although, I mean, like, what's worse, a full body or like a body part just moving on its own? I feel like a full body
oh,
because it implies that they could just like come to life and be a zombie. Or as a body part, you think you don't want it to move, but it's not going to be like a being.
right. It would be like, what's in the Addams family?
Thing.
Thing.
It would be like Thing.
It would be like Thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Thing. All right. So the full body would be worse, I
Yeah,
think.
that would be worse.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they say he's still responding to high levels of electrostatic charge.
Should we talk about what electrostatic charge is specifically?
Let's please, because I don't know.
It's really simple.
Probably something like static electricity.
Yeah, static electricity. But let's talk about it. The key feature is the word static.
Mm.
It's not moving charge. It's not a current. So there's Anytime we talk about
Okay.
charge, what we're really talking about is an excess or a lack of electrons, right? So if something is
Right.
electrically charged,
Right. Right.
that's
Yes.
either it has extra electrons and it's negative, or it
Yes.
has
A
fewer
lack
electrons and
of
it's positive.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, as compared to protons. When I say extra or fewer, I'm talking about compared to protons
Hmm.
um, that are in the nucleus. And we can't just gain or lose protons real easily. That's since they're in the nucleus, that's when we start talking about, nuclear bombs,
Oh,
right?
really?
We don't just split the nucleus of an atom and pull off two protons
Right.
in any easy way. Not necessarily just nuclear bombs, but like that releases this huge amount of energy. It's a
Hmm.
whole big thing. Whereas electrons can be pretty easily stripped off, right?
Right.
Depending on the material and whatever.
That's how
Uh,
bonding happens between different
yeah,
elements, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
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 So for something to be have an electrostatic charge, that just means the charge isn't moving. Like
Hmm.
it's literally just like, so if you get a buildup of static
Hmm.
electricity, and as Michael Scott says, you touch the ball and your hair stands up, and science,
Yeah.
right? With the Van de Graaff generator,
Yeah.
that just means there's excess charge on you, and like charge repels like. So if you have excess electrons, your hair gets all charged, and because your hair isn't very heavy and
Right.
gravitational force isn't that hard, all the individual hairs are now negatively charged, so they repel each other, and that's why your hair stands up.
Oh, that makes sense.
Good.
I just
Yay.
learned something.
Yay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
teach about
Okay. That
this.
makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
so that's static charge. It's not
Okay.
flowing through you. It's
Gotcha.
just on you. And not necessarily
Okay.
you. It could be on an object or whatever.
Okay. So when I rub a
Whereas when we
balloon on
talk
the
about,
carpet and put it on
yeah. Yeah, exactly. You're just
something.
stripping off electrons, and there you
Hmm.
go. We can talk about why does it stick to the wall and what's going on there, and because
We don't have to.
but I don't think it really matters right now. The main thing I want to do is compare this to current, which is
Okay.
moving charge. So when
Okay.
you plug in your toaster or
Yeah.
whatever, you plug in my toaster. I don't know,
Hmm.
because
You have a
Helen
very
has,
fancy
I have a
toaster.
very fancy toaster, and Helen now has a 4-slice toaster that was mine because,
Which originally was our mother's. So I have
oh
like
my
a
God, you're
super
right.
hand-me-down
Yeah,
toaster for some reason.
it's a good toaster though.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Because
I
I
have a,
mean, like, let me be clear. I could buy a toaster. Like,
yeah,
it's not
yeah.
like.
It's only because, yeah, yeah, yeah. I bought we bought a ridiculous toaster that makes this adorable noise. It has like it's a smart toaster. We don't need to go down this road either. It's called the
Another day.
Revolution. If you want to look up the Revolution toaster.
Is that what it's
Also,
called?
yes. Also, Revolution Toaster. If you'd like to be a sponsor, or something,
Oh
or if
yeah, totally.
if some listener would like to mail Helen her own Revolution Toaster, and we can
Ooh.
talk about it, because we heard about the toaster.
revolutiontoaster.com/believe.
Yeah, yeah. We learned about it from another podcast. Anyway,
Hmm.
you plug a device in, and what's happening there is charge is flowing. So when we talk about
Okay.
current, that
Mm-hmm.
is charge flowing through something.
Right.
And so I want to bring this up again when we talk about the headlights in Mulder and Scully's car a little bit later in the
Oh,
episode. So I just wanted to lay this out now.
great. So why would that cause so they say that his body temperature is still normal,
Mhm.
even though the time of death was 6 hours ago. What would that have anything to do with that, with the electrostatic charge?
I'm not a biophysicist, so
Okay.
I'm way talking out of my element at this point. But I
Haha, but
mean,
I'm bump.
ah, yes. But I don't really know. I mean, I
Okay.
think that things heat up when charge moves through them, right?
Yeah.
Like a
Toasters.
light bulb,
Uh-huh.
or yeah, or a toaster, the heating element in a
Uh-huh.
toaster. Yeah. But yeah, even things you don't intend to, like when my students hook up a circuit and they have a
Hmm.
little resistor in the circuit and they turn up the voltage too high, the resistor, like I'm like, you guys, I smell smoke
Oh
and
God.
burning plastic. Let's turn this down. So that happens. Things
Hmm.
get hot when current moves through them. Electrostatic charge is not associated with heat.
Hmm.
And so
Hmm.
that is what I was doing some research about yesterday. I have some thoughts on it. I'm going to
Okay.
talk more about electrostatic charge and temperature in a bit. But
Okay.
yeah, as far as like the human body, I have no idea.
Right. Okay. Okay. Well, and like you said, so the larynx, esophagus, and hyoid have all been crushed, but there are
Right.
no surface lesions. So the bones and some of the harder soft tissues in the neck have been crushed with
Mhm.
nothing appearing to have damaged the skin on the neck.
Right.
And that was fun because I have studied the hyoid before. So
Yeah,
I was like,
anytime I hear about the
hyoid?
hyoid, I think of you, and I think of like the only context I hear about the hyoid is like murdery stuff and you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and see, so that's one of the questions because sometimes when someone is strangled, sometimes when someone is hanged,
Hmm.
these sorts of things can sometimes break the hyoid, but
Hmm.
it's not as consistent as people once thought. Like it's not
Okay.
like you're going to necessarily have a break there. The hyoid is this U-shaped bone
You should.
that is, yes, U-shaped, and it's the only bone in our body that does not articulate with any other bone. So it maintains connections through 9 different ligaments and muscles to the rest of our vocal tract, but it doesn't actually articulate, meaning form a joint with any other bones. So it's free
What's the
floating.
point of it? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah. So it helps regulate speech, swallowing, and breathing.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Those are
So
pretty important.
those are pretty important. So the hyoid, sometimes we see differences in people with chronic sleep apnea.
Really?
Yeah, sometimes, well, it can also be looked at like there's a whole biological anthropology side of it where people look at hyoid bones from, say, Neanderthals to see if they would have been capable of speech because
Oh.
a lot of mammals, I want to say most mammals, but I don't know if that's correct. Most mammals have hyoid bones.
Aw.
Yes,
I
it's
don't
very
know.
cute.
Yeah.
um, which allow them to make noise, but not necessarily make speech. So, depending on the position of it, so how it's angled, and then also depending on its position relative to the cervical vertebrae, so the bones in the neck, so how
Okay.
high up it is.
Okay.
So, like, I published a paper just last year where we looked at the hyoid bone in the vocal tract as children were growing from CT scans and
Okay.
saw that there are changes during puberty where the hyoid bone will change its angle and change some of its shape relative to the rest of its structures in
Hmm.
males versus in females.
Okay.
So that's the hyoid bone.
Okay.
Primer on that.
All right.
It's a cool
Thank
little
you.
bone.
Yeah.
And it normally wouldn't be crushed if nothing was crushing your neck.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
not a
It's not a self-crushing bone.
it's not. God, that would
None
be
of them
awful.
are, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then these non-FBI people dismiss Mulder and Scully
Oh, and they're like, "Have you
after
seen anything like this?"
right,
And Mulder's like, "Nope."
right, which is
Yeah.
a lie, of
Yeah.
course. And Scully says to Mulder after they leave the room that he lied, and Mulder says, "I didn't lie. I willfully participated in a campaign of misinformation," which I felt like was supposed to be some sort of quote,
Yeah, I
but
felt that way too.
I didn't actually look.
I didn't either.
So Scully says that Mulder lied. He claims he didn't. He was just being misleading. And he believes it is psychokinetic manipulation, which Scully replies, "You mean how Carrie got even at the prom?" I've also never seen Carrie.
Oh,
And then
classic.
yeah, I know I
But it's
should.
not like I mean, like, it's pretty disturbing. I'm not gonna
Is
be
it?
like, "Oh, sure." Yeah, because her mom is super abusive, and the
Oh.
teenagers are so cruel to her,
Oh,
and
really?
like, oh yeah,
Oh.
yeah, it's
Mm.
not a fun ride. So
Oh, okay. Then we're back in the office and we see Lauren and another woman being mean to Lauren. And as she's being mean to Lauren, her coffee spills out of nowhere. So her coffee starts like rattling and it spills on the desk. Clearly, no one touched it.
and yeah, we're kind of meant to put the two scenes together and think, oh, Lauren has these
Hmm.
telekinesis powers like Carrie or something, maybe.
Right, right. Getting back at all these mean women in her office.
Yeah,
She says she's resigning. And
right.
we then see her talking to the other boss, essentially. So, not Howard Graves, but like his partner,
Partner?
I
Yeah.
guess. And we find out that Lauren was like a daughter to Howard Graves. The other guy we also find out is a creep and
Yeah.
grabs her face when he kind of gets mad to like force her to look at him. And then suddenly his watch gets super tight and he's forced to let go. So it's like, his watch is tightening on its own or something. And so he lets go.
Yeah. And he's trying to get her to not quit, but she
Mm-hmm.
leaves and is like, after he has to let her go, she's like, nope, you get my 2 weeks.
Right. Scully and Mulder then think they know who the two guys were. And so they go to Philadelphia to talk to the local PD. And Mulder sees a woman at the ATM as they're talking to the cop. So they're talking to him outside of where the bodies were found, and Mulder sees a woman at that ATM and then thinks, oh, we should pull the CCTV footage from the ATM. And they do, and they see Lauren being taken by the two guys, and there's a blurry image of a guy behind her.
Yeah. Okay. Can we talk about that? Did
Yeah.
you see a face? They
Yeah.
kept being, what is wrong with me then? I was like, I see nothing. I see
Really?
nothing. Yeah. They kept being like, look, there's someone else there. Who else was on the scene? I'm like, I don't know, some blurs. I did not see anything. And then they even
Really?
showed again later and I saw nothing. And I thought, is this just like the X-Files being weird? I don't
No,
know.
I clearly saw Howard
Oh,
Graves.
okay. I gotta look at it again.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know what sort of issue I have, special Howard Graves specific face blindness.
Yeah.
But yeah, so everyone except me sees
Yes, a
another
man.
face in the ATM video.
Yes. And so Mulder and Scully go to talk to Lauren.
She does not want to talk to them.
No, she does not. And they ask, have you seen the pictures of these two men before? And she denies it. But then Scully shows her an image from the surveillance, that one that Liz thinks is just blurry. And she can't tell them who the blurry guy in the background is.
Right. And it's kind of a can't or won't. And
Yeah.
it's clear she's just not telling them.
Right.
Do they leave at that point?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And that is when their car goes crazy.
Yeah.
And they can't stop it and they start accelerating and they end up getting into a car crash with another car. And as they're dealing with that and coming out of that or whatever, I believe that's when they see that the headlights are still glowing on the car, even though, or maybe that's after they're
yeah,
released.
they take it to the mechanic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and nothing is wrong with the car except now the lights won't. The lights are technically off, but are still turned on, are still bright.
Yeah. And so this is what I was looking up, right? So in an incandescent light bulb, for example, like normal type light bulb from, I know nowadays we mostly have better
LED.
ones, but certainly 90s type light bulbs, incandescent. A filament gets heated up by a current passing through it, charge moving through it. And when the filament gets heated, it glows. And so that incandescent, it's heat turning something into light, right?
Why does it glow? Why does the current going over it make it glow?
So, I mean, light, I feel like all I do is just talk about light. I don't know. It comes up a lot in the X-Files, right? So photons, right? So in the heating of it, there's some process, and I think I read that they often use tungsten, right? Where as it's heated, photons in that interaction are released. And so we see light. I don't know about the details beyond that. Let me be honest.
Okay.
In the same way, I mean, you can think of it a lot of, I don't know if this helps, but like coals glow, right? When things are heated, they do
weird,
glow,
isn't it?
right?
Why do coals glow?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
And same thing, I think.
Will anything glow if you get it hot enough?
When stuff gets hot, it glows.
Yeah.
Will anything? Well, I think if it can hang together, but it.
I'm trying to think of something.
Like, I think if I was, I don't think I personally could be heated enough that I would glow, because I would probably just burn up before that. But tungsten or whatever you're using as filament in a light bulb, it gets heated, it glows. But they keep talking about there's like electrostatic charge. And again, so I'm thinking electrostatic charge being on there is not, it's not current. That alone, just having the charge, should not be heating the filament. Now, in order to get the charge on there, it had to move on there. So that would have been
Okay.
a current, right? Because if you went from it being not charged to charged, you had to
Right.
move
Okay,
charge
so
up to
would
there.
this be like those radios? We actually have one where you like crank it and then it stays on for a while. Do you know what I'm talking about? And I think there are lights like that
Um,
too, right? Where you
yeah,
like
yeah. So
crank it really hard for a bit and then it'll stay on for a bit.
I think so I don't know the details about how those work, but my understanding is that it's sort of
Hmm.
like the opposite in that when you're cranking it, you're building up charge due to
Right.
direct contact. Like,
Friction?
what's the word I'm looking for?
Okay.
Sure, let's say friction. There's another word I'm looking for,
Okay.
but I don't care enough to think of it. And then that
Hmm.
charge is getting stored up and slowly released as a current to run
Okay.
through the
Oh,
radio or
I see.
whatever. In other words, you need a current to make that radio work. The charge just sitting on
Okay.
there is not
Okay.
doing anything. And so that's
Yeah.
why I can't really make sense of the headlight thing. There would have been a current if it went from charged to, or if it went from not
Hmm.
charged to magically charged. The charge did have to get on there,
Hmm.
so there was a current at some point. Could it have, that brief instant of current, been enough to make it
Hmm.
heat enough to keep giving off light hours later?
Okay.
I guess,
Right.
but I don't know how ghosts work. But I feel like what the episode is implying is that just the presence of
Hmm.
charge is making this glow, which is not
Okay.
what
Cool.
happens. So, so yeah,
Oh,
that's
that's
what I
awesome.
have to offer
Great. I
about
had no
that.
idea. Fantastic.
I have some contributions sometimes, but they're mostly light based.
So
Yeah,
this leads Mulder to think that Lauren has psychokinetic powers, that or a poltergeist. And Scully thinks, yeah,
he's much closer
and
with that one.
Scully thinks that the two men that attacked her, it turns out they're from some sort of extremist group, terrorist group, and that the two men from that group attacking a woman who works for a defense parts manufacturer isn't that surprising, and that there's just some sort of accomplice
Yeah.
that Lauren has that they need to find. Mulder now thinks the accomplice is a
Right.
ghost, or whatever, says the look on his face, was my note.
Yes.
So then they're in the car following Lauren and taking lots of pictures of her. They see her get pissed off at a guy putting a new sign over her boss's old parking sign.
Which seemed
Yeah,
like, Lauren, you
yeah,
had to know what was coming, right? Like,
yeah,
he doesn't
yeah.
park there anymore. Yeah.
And because his name was on the sign, Mulder and Scully look him up. I feel like sometimes I can't follow their logic. Like there are leaps that happen where I feel like we're not getting the whole picture. But in this episode, I felt very much like, oh, okay, well, it makes sense that they'd follow her. It makes sense because they see her looking at that sign. Like
Yeah.
everything seemed, I don't know. It was a nice
Yeah.
refreshing,
Yeah, I would agree with you.
refreshing clarity. So then they look him up on microfiche, which still exists.
Yeah. Yeah.
Horribly.
Yeah, I thought the like most dated thing I saw was, well, first in the episode you see like a really old looking Pepsi can.
Oh, really?
And then, oh, yeah, and then also the reason Lauren's at the ATM to deposit her paycheck.
Oh,
And
God,
like
yeah.
it for a second I was like, wait, what do they mean? Oh yeah, it wasn't direct deposit.
Yeah.
Duh. And then yeah, then they're using the microfiche. So we have some early 90s reminders there that like, I mean, yeah, I just like some part of me forgot
Yeah.
that paychecks were not direct deposit.
Yeah.
I knew that. I had a job in the 90s. I should have known
Yeah.
that. But yeah.
Yeah, and like if you wanted, you could deposit at the ATM in like these little envelopes, right? That you'd have to fill out and then like slide it through a slot. It wasn't like you just
You
couldn't
still do that. You can still do that.
at ATMs?
Yeah, I
Oh.
just did it.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah,
Is that how you deposit
because I
things?
can't.
Why don't
Yeah.
you just use your app? You don't have an app for your phone where you can do it?
Oh, I don't know.
Look who's stuck in the 90s now.
Yeah, because I get like checks from like Rakuten
Yeah.
and they're for like $8 or $2, and I'm like, oh, good, I get to go to the
What's
bank and deposit
Rakuten?
this stupid check. It's this thing Mom told me about with like, you get it for, it's an extension for Chrome,
Hmm.
and you go to a certain website to make or to buy
Mhm.
something, And then a little thing will pop up and be like, oh, if you click this, you'll get this percent cash
Hmm.
back through Rakuten. And then when you get to a certain amount, they send you a check.
Hmm.
And it's really, really easy. But unless you happen to hit the right stores on the right
Ah,
days, it's usually not much cash.
okay. But then you have these small checks that you need to
Yeah.
deposit.
Yeah. And so I've just been driving to the bank.
I bet your bank has an app. I would be extremely surprised. I have a small
All right.
local bank, and my
I'll
bank
up
has an app.
I'll update you all next week
Yeah.
on whether or not my bank has an app
Or if you're
for
banking at some sort of
checks.
weird, like, I don't know,
Yeah.
19th century.
Yeah. Yeah. On a very related note to both of those things, when I first moved to Madison, I was walking around downtown near the square and someone came up to
Oh,
me
yeah.
and said, "Do you know where the nearest time machine is?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "What is happening? I am in like a sci-fi movie." But no, TYME is name for ATM.
Which is still
So,
confusing, I maintain.
yes.
I still don't like
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm going to
Yeah.
call it an ATM. So Scully looks him up in the microfiche where she's looking through recent news and see that he had recently died by slitting his wrists in the bathtub. So then
Right.
they're back to
Right,
following
right, right. He
Lauren.
split his wrists in the bathtub. I
Right.
was thinking he drowned.
Well,
I
we're getting
forgot.
to something similar.
Okay, okay.
So they follow her again and they see her at his grave. And I was thinking then, like, did they have an affair? Like, why? I don't know. Clearly,
Hmm.
I don't know. I have a lot of bosses I've really loved and I would attend their funerals,
Yeah,
but I don't have any bosses that I would go visit their grave.
agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah.
But maybe that's on me.
Yeah, I still miss Dr. Bond, my advisor
Yeah.
in grad school,
Yeah.
but yeah, I guess she's worked there for
Yeah.
years. They're seeing each other every single day.
That's true. We won't judge Lauren's grief. We
Can,
won't be one of those
no,
bitchy people at her work.
no,
Yeah, she can do what she
no.
wants.
Can we talk about the employee at the graveyard though?
Yes, please. Well, hold on. So, first
Okay,
of all, so she leaves, and Mulder and Scully go to look at his grave, and they see that the grave next to his is that of a Sarah Graves who died at age 3,
right.
and so they're assuming it's his daughter. And so then they turn to ask someone for more information about the graves, and we see,
This really weird
yeah,
cemetery employee who's like, I thought they're gonna have to go somewhere with this guy. He's gonna get involved later or something
yeah,
because why did they make him this weird? But maybe it was just a character choice and they went
yeah,
with it. But like he had a lot of information and he was like, "Oh, I'm the last one who sees these people. I see everything. I attend every
yeah.
funeral." But I'm not conveying how weird he was. Like my words aren't doing a good enough job. He was very, very
It was
strange.
very much like I got the sort of vibe that he'd be a side character going like, I haven't seen Howard Grave in 100 years or something, like some sort of like
Well, I could see
ghosty,
that.
you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
He had a vibe.
Yeah, so he gave them all sorts of information about Howard Graves' life,
Yes.
which I guess maybe they had to make him weird because a normal employee wouldn't know all
Yeah,
that
maybe.
stuff. But if he's real bizarre and like super into the lives of these people, then maybe we could explain
Yeah,
it
maybe.
and he can provide more information. But yeah,
And
indeed,
yeah,
Sarah was his daughter. She died when she was
she drowned in a
3.
pool. I think that's what you're thinking of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And then his wife left him and also died, but is buried elsewhere.
yeah, which is pretty tragic.
Yeah.
Also, I didn't really know how it added to the story at all, either of those things, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you need Sarah to be Lauren's age to be like, oh,
Right.
this is why he was such a father figure to her, but
Right.
I don't
And
know. I
that's
feel like why couldn't he be?
all we get from that is
Yeah,
them saying
'cause-
like, oh, she would have been Lauren's age
yeah, yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I felt like why couldn't he be a father figure to her
anyway. Yeah,
anyway? Yeah.
yeah. Then we see Mulder developing film, which is like why and how and using what? Like since when does Mulder develop his own film?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
and it's from when they were following Lauren. And in the film, he sees a man standing behind her in her window, who wasn't there when he took the picture. So all very ghosty.
Yeah.
And then they enhance the photo and see it's Howard Graves.
And so Scully's thinking he must be alive.
Right.
And so they cut. Is that when they cut to that woman? Oh, because they say he was cremated, but his organs were
Oh, not yet.
okay.
First,
Because she was awesome.
yeah. First we see Lauren asleep, and her cat growls and runs off the bed, which is never a good sign.
Oh yeah, no, because cats only do that if there's a ghost. Is my understanding.
That's my understanding of cats. Granted, I haven't had one in a while.
Yeah.
She hears footsteps up the stairs, which made me so glad I don't have stairs. She also has a very cute house, I thought. I like her house.
Yeah,
It's kind of it's kind of like 20s, 30s. It's very cute.
Yeah.
She opens the bedroom door and then walks down the hallway with a baseball bat, which just call the police, Lauren.
Yeah. Yeah.
God. And she hears voices coming from her bathroom saying, "No,
Oh
don't
my
do
God,
this to me."
Of course. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then she walks into the bathroom again. Don't do that.
Yeah.
And still hears the voices behind the shower curtain. And so she pulls back the curtain and we see the tub is filled with water and there's blood in it that's spreading out. And she says they killed him.
Yeah, it becomes clear what she was hearing was Howard Graves's murder.
Yeah. Yeah. So then we see Mulder and Scully, because Mulder thinks that he could be alive, visiting the medical examiner who had done his autopsy. And she was great.
Yeah, so it's like maybe he's alive. We can find out because he donated his organs. We can test that or whatever.
Right.
To make sure it was really his body.
Right.
And she's like, Howard Graves is very dead.
Yeah.
And it was a good shot. It was nice. And so yeah, they confirm he's definitely not alive.
Yeah.
He is not alive and in Lauren's house.
Yeah.
He is very dead.
Yes. And then we see an office party to send Lauren away. And the first lady that was being kind of irritating towards her is sad she's leaving. I don't know. It just felt very disingenuous. I felt like you don't care that she's leaving.
Yeah.
She goes in his office one last time, and the creepy boss shuts the door behind her. He says that he knows Howard told her, and she says, "You'll do to me what you did to Howard." And so she calls Mulder, very smartly.
Yes, very smart. And says, "Come over as soon as you can." And so then when she's waiting in her house for Mulder to get there, somebody comes to her door. I'm an idiot. I'm assuming it is indeed Mulder.
Oh.
and her door bars itself, like her stuff starts blocking the door, so whoever it is can't get in. And it's clear Howard is doing this to protect her. And I'm thinking, well, come on, Howard. Mulder, she called Mulder there. No, idiot. It's more people from that terrorist organization coming to kill her.
Yeah. It was all very Beauty and the Beast, I thought, with the furniture moving to block the door.
Oh yeah.
Very Gaston storming the castle.
Yeah. If Gaston was then, choked to death by a ghost once he got inside.
That'd be neat.
Because that's what happens. Both those people are killed by Howard Graves.
Yeah. Because that's what happens. Gaston is...
Yeah.
You haven't seen the new version.
Right, yeah.
I thought it was funny that the two, criminals that are breaking in were, wearing leather jackets, and they've got, their hair slicked back. I don't know. They just looked very,
It did have kind of a, 1950s hood look to them. Yeah. Yeah.
And one of them, very menacingly, comes in and is, kind of going towards Lauren once they finally break the door down and says he's going to go run the bath, which I thought was genuinely creepy.
Yeah. He does not make it that far, though. No. They're both killed.
Yes. And Mulder and Scully pull up, and they hear screaming in the house, and they bust in, but they see then the guy being held up in the air by nothing, and Lauren cowering.
Yeah.
And so then they take her to some sort of station, and she won't talk.
Yeah. Nope. And then they're kind of at odds with each other, because Scully talks very movingly to Lauren about how important it is to not let living jerk boss get away with whatever it is that he's getting away with through the company, and they're linked to this terrorist
Mm-hmm.
organization. And talks about this sort of responsibility Lauren has, this gift that she has, since she has the ability to stop this, that she should.
Yeah.
And Mulder's kind of like, come on, we could have witnessed some psychic phenomenon and had proof. Why are you
Right.
stopping this? I wasn't totally clear how her saying that was preventing
Yeah, I thought the
that.
same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I also felt like, Mulder, priorities,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Like,
Same. But eventually she does kind of talk to them and tells them that one night she went to Howard's office and he was crying, saying the company was in trouble. That one time, the other guy, the other boss, Dorland, I believe, he came with the terrorist group and bought a bunch of the parts, the defense manufacturing parts,
right.
for huge prices. Like he was like buying, they were
Right.
buying them up. And Howard also found out that they had killed some sailors in Florida, I
Oh
believe.
yeah, I
Yeah,
forgot. Yeah, they killed some sailors.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they get a search warrant and they go into the office building, and all these FBI agents and Mulder and Scully and Lauren are there, and they're looking through things trying to find something on Dorland, the other boss, that'll implicate him.
And he's all chill.
Yeah.
He's like, whatever, you guys go for it. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, we don't have him. Look, he's not nervous. We're not close.
Yeah. And then he calls Lauren a stupid bitch and she attacks him.
Oh yeah.
Which was
Yeah.
satisfying.
Yeah.
But then a ghost steps in and starts making Dorland back off like he's protecting Lauren. And then all this wind starts pulling out papers from the room, and the wind is also holding Dorland back at letter opener point. And then the letter opener flips and flies into the wall across and like slashes down, opening up the wallpaper.
And so we can see there is evidence hidden behind the wallpaper. And that's what they need to find in order
Right.
to get him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this evidence was in the form of a floppy disk, which was fun.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. I feel like, how much evidence could they even fit on there?
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Even CDs, like, oh, you used to have to
Yeah.
have so many CDs with pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh God. So Dorland will be prosecuted, which is good. So Ghost Howard Graves did his job and protected Lauren and showed the evidence of,
Yep.
Dorland's bad things. Lauren is
Sailor killing ways.
yes, sailor killing
Yeah.
ways. Lauren's still gonna move. And Scully and Mulder kind of say bye to her, and this I thought was so they're then like getting into the car, and Mulder goes, "Hey Scully, do you believe in an afterlife?" And she says, "I'd settle for a life in this world." And then suddenly he's saying, "Have you ever seen the Liberty Bell?" And they drive off, presumably to see the Liberty Bell.
Yeah, and since we do like to do some research, and there's talk about, do you think it's open? Should we see it? And she's like, it's a big bell with a big crack,
Yeah.
and he's like, well, I've never seen it. Since you and I do research, I decided to look at the hours for the Liberty
Ooh.
Bell. Given that it was dark out, probably it wasn't going to be
Ah.
open, because if the hours were similar back then. Right now it's 9 to 5.
Now, isn't it just
So-
outside? Can't you just?
I have
Oh,
no
I
idea.
thought you'd seen the Liberty Bell.
If I had, I forgot. All I remember about Philadelphia, basically all I remember, is that I had the best tofu of my life
Oh.
at a Mexican restaurant
Oh,
in a taco. It was so good.
really?
It was, it was really like dense,
Mm.
and chewy, not like all soft.
Yeah.
And it had like a really nice glaze on it that was
Ooh.
kind of sweet and spicy
In a taco.
in a taco.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Well, now I want to go to Philadelphia.
Yeah,
Huh.
and I can't remember the name of the restaurant, but I'd know it if I saw it.
Okay.
It was a big place, and it was probably like not super authentic Mexican,
Right.
is my guess.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was delicious. And that is what I know. If I saw the Liberty Bell, it wasn't on purpose. I have no memory of seeing
thought-
it. Yeah, I
thought
mean,
you were there at night. Didn't you run into
oh, I mean,
it?
I was. Oh my God, you're thinking of the Victory Bell at NIU.
What is the victory? Oh, what? Do you feel like telling that story?
I do.
Okay.
At Northern Illinois University, they have a bell called the Victory Bell, not nearly as large as the Liberty
Ah,
Bell. And the idea is it is rung when the football team wins or something. I
hmm.
guess. I don't actually know, but it's a bell.
Where is it? It's just on campus?
It's on campus. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's in like a little shelter
Hmm.
thing. And so me and my friend Andy were walking back from my friend Amanda and my friend Sandy's dorm
Hmm.
room. And we'd just been watching the X Files till like
Oh.
3 a.m. And we were walking back to my apartment and we passed by the Victory Bell. And I don't know if I'd never seen it before or never really noticed it. It was the middle of the night and it has a long rope hanging from it. And so I tried really, really hard to ring it
How
and
high off the
failed.
ground? Like how
The bell?
yeah, like how long is the rope? Is it like your height or is it like low?
Um, I would say the bell was probably like at a height where it's not like normal ceiling height, but
Okay.
still like a ceiling you could see in a house if it had like nice high ceilings.
Okay. Okay.
So maybe
Oh,
12
okay.
feet,
Okay.
you know? So the bell's up that
So
high.
the
So it's not like I could
lid
have touched
was like
the
where?
bell.
The not the
What'd you
lid.
say?
The like opening, the rim was like where to you in height.
I probably couldn't have touched it. Yeah, I think you're misremembering the story
Okay.
because I did not run into the
Oh.
bell. Um, so I tried to ring it. I grabbed the cord. I don't know why I thought, hey, it's 3 a.m. I should ring a bell. But I was trying really, really hard and I just wasn't strong enough to make it ring.
Hmm.
I was moving my hand back and forth, like swinging this rope, and it just would not make the clapper hit the sides of the
Uh-huh.
bell. So my friend Andy, who's quite a bit bigger and stronger than me, watched me do this and thought, this must be really difficult. So he swung it as hard as he could and it rang really, really, really loud. And so we both instinctively took off, but unfortunately it was in the same direction as each other. And we ran into each other and hit our heads and fell onto the ground and hurt ourselves. And so that is the bell-based story that you are thinking
Okay.
of. I'm pretty sure the Liberty Bell is not something I would be able to physically run into if I wanted to. I think they probably secure it.
Okay.
But the Victory Bell was available
Okay.
for ringing.
Well, I'm really glad I
Yeah.
asked. I forgot that.
Yeah, me too.
What is the Liberty Bell then?
Oh God, don't ask me
All right.
questions I don't
Never
know.
mind.
It's a big bell with a crack in it,
Yep.
a big crack in it.
From
That's what Scully
something
said. Definitely
revolutionary.
got something to do with Revolutionary
Yeah.
War times,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yep. Probably
Yep.
there was victory involved.
Or Liberty.
Oh, right. I feel like now we cut to me like 10 years from now, and like one of my children asks about the Liberty Bell, and I start just telling them the story of you running. Being
Well,
like,
you know, Auntie Liz.
yeah,
Yeah.
ran into that.
And that's why it's cracked. I do have a really big head. So,
It's true.
Yeah.
So then we see Lauren working in Nebraska now. And there's another woman being mean to
Yet
her.
another terrible woman.
Yeah.
I don't know how you did things at your last job, but here in the Midwest, it's
Yeah.
important to be punctual.
Yeah.
And I feel like, come on.
And as a
Don't do this
Midwesterner,
to the
I feel
Midwest.
like
Yeah.
there are plenty of people that are late all the time. Excuse me.
Yeah, I'm one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we see her coffee start to shake, the woman, just like how it had on that other mean woman's desk. Oh, but then it's just a truck going by, and it's kind of like, oh,
Yeah.
the Howard is now at peace. He wasn't the one
Yeah.
shaking the mean woman's coffee. It was just a truck.
I still kind of didn't like that it ended with Lauren at another job where someone's being a jerk to her, though.
Yeah.
Like, couldn't this have had like a better ending where then the woman, like, if I were writing this,
Yeah.
I would then add a line where the woman is like, I'm sorry, Lauren, I'm being really crabby today. I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. It's okay that you were late, or something
Yeah.
like that, and it would feel a little bit better. I'd feel a little better about
See,
things.
I would have liked to see her like in New York now, and she's like going to art school or doing something like actually
Ooh,
fun,
yeah.
and not just more
I like that.
secretarial work where people are mean to her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I imagine she also finds love while she's there.
Probably.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Although maybe that happens in Nebraska.
Maybe we should write some Lauren Kite fan fiction.
I wonder if there's any out there already. I wouldn't be
As like,
surprised.
I mean, they say that if you can think of it, there's fan fiction for
Oh,
it.
really?
So, I mean,
Is that what they say?
look, have you looked up Property Brothers fan fiction?
No! That's a
Oh,
thing?
Helen, you have no idea.
I don't think I want to have any idea.
I don't even want to tell you what I have seen.
Oh my god. So, like...
All right, no, I'm going to say
Yeah.
it. I'm just going to say here, you want to turn off the episode now before you hear this? You go ahead.
Our
You
parents?
can't unhear
Yeah.
it. Yeah, you can't unhear
Oh,
this.
no.
I was watching the Property Brothers at RollerCon.
Okay.
Me and Wolf and Adam were watching it, and we were like, I don't know, talking about fan fiction, and somebody said, oh, you know, I wonder if there's, because we were talking about what do you think their lives are like, and I was like, I bet there's Property Brothers fan fiction. So I looked it up,
no.
and indeed, people have collected, here are the weirdest stories people have written about the Property Brothers. And there are ones where they're in love, which is real gross. But the worst thing is...
That's not the
one of
worst
them-
thing.
No.
Oh, no.
Where one of them is pregnant.
Oh, no.
Yes.
With the other's child, presumably?
Yeah, somehow they're going to be like parents together and one
Oh,
is pregnant.
no.
And they're still the Property Brothers, and I was just like laying in my hotel room in Vegas screaming. So,
Oh, God. I
yeah.
couldn't, if you can think of it, it's probably fan fiction. I could not think of that, though.
No,
Like, that was-
I know.
huh. Man, I wonder if
Yeah.
they know.
I mean, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. Would you want to know?
No. No,
Yeah.
I would not want
I
to
feel
know.
like I would. I feel like I'd want to know. Although fan fiction where I'm pregnant would not be nearly as unsettling. It'd be real unsettling.
Yeah.
Because who's writing fan fiction about me? But like, you know.
That for some reason reminded me of that guy in Seinfeld with the mannequin who makes that mannequin.
Elaine.
Yeah, is obsessed
Yeah.
with Elaine.
Yeah. I call this model the Elaine. Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, please don't write fan fiction
Yeah, good
about
lord.
us.
Yeah.
Unless it's like really cool.
Yeah. If I get a sword,
Yeah.
I'm on board.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to be pregnant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just would like, some sort of dragon riding. I don't know. I've been
Yeah,
reading
okay.
a lot of fantasy books lately.
All right, so maybe do write
Yeah.
fan fiction about us, or Helen rides
But
a
just
dragon
make
and has a
us really
sword,
cool.
and I'm just, I don't know, not pregnant. I can do whatever,
Yeah.
as long as. Also, I think it goes without saying, no incest,
Yeah.
because that's horrifying.
Yeah.
I mean, the poor Property Brothers. Good God.
Yeah, I mean, I
I mean,
have a
okay,
lot
I
of
guess
issues
all right,
with them
anytime-
anyway, but that is not something I wish on them.
Oh, really? You have
They
issues
just
with them?
annoy me.
Oh,
They
okay.
annoy me. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, so, I'm not going to get too serious with this, but for people who don't know, I lost identical twin boys, or I did not lose them,
Yeah.
they died.
Yeah.
And so identical twin boys sometimes hit like a weird note with me.
Yeah.
But also I have brothers-in-law. Zach's brothers are identical twins. And they are tall and dark-haired, and I feel like the Property Brothers are like doofus versions of my brother-in-laws. So
That's awesome.
yeah, I don't know. So it's partially like,
Yeah.
well, why
They relate to your own life.
in weird ways, yeah.
And-
Yeah.
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 Mhm.
So I don't know, but I don't wish that on them.
No. No.
Cool. Well,
Well, on
On
that,
that
note, what we got
note,
up next week?
yeah. Next week, Ghost in the Machine.
Yeah. Yeah. Now,
I remember not liking that, I think.
here's what I recall, and I could be wrong because I generally am. But what I think I recall is that this should have some really good 90s hacker moments for us.
Oh.
So, we'll see.
Yeah, I just remember being bored by all the computer stuff, but now, yeah, it might be
I think it could
fun.
be really goofy.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, and follow us on Instagram. Follow us on however you listen to your podcasts, and send us some messages if you have comments.
We want to believe pod@gmail.com, or we want to believe pod on Instagram.
All right, see you next week.
Bye.